Good morning. Howdy. Oh boy, how's it going, everybody? I personally am doing well. Just sat down. Things are going well for me. Hopefully the same can be said for you guys. Let's see. Nothing really is going on right now, specifically for me. There's a couple things I'd like to talk about, I guess, but, that's just the usual, I suppose. Oh boy. What's funny is that I used to, hate coffee, my entire life, right? And I think this can be said, maybe for, a lot of people, but for me, I was always against, drinking coffee because it was just too bitter. But over the years, I guess I've become more used to it. I started drinking it in college, and I guess I've just kept doing it. I don't know. I'm not caffeine doesn't really affect me that much, and that's, I don't know to what extent that's common, but whatever the case may be, it's still good for the most part. I'm drinking it mostly for the health benefits, although I do sometimes put creamer in there. I used to drink black coffee all the time, but recently I've been drinking it with creamer. So, but it's 0 sugar, and I don't really put that much anyway, and I don't put any sugar or sweet low or anything like that in there. So, in that respect, I think I'm, I guess, being healthy. Oh boy. Yeah, with me personally, it's speedrunning wise. Boy. I have not really practiced with Diablo necessarily. I don't know if I'm actually going to end up speedrunning Diablo. I think maybe instead I'll buy Doom and start practicing that. I think that's going to be fun. Oh, and apparently they're making a Forest, a sequel to The Forest, the game. I'm just looking at it right now. Oh boy. I don't know what the point of this is. Sons of the Forest is what it's called, apparently. I don't know. It doesn't look that... I didn't really play the original one, I guess, that much. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. That was back in the day when, those survival games were, super, super common. I knew, you had Rust and, if you want to look at it another way, Minecraft. There was also, obviously, The Forest. 7 Days to Die. I'm sure I have some of these in my Steam library, if I were to guess. Banished. I totally forgot about that. Banished, for sure. The Long Dark. Another one. It's just there's so many of these survival games that were released middle of the 20 teens. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see how that game turns out. The fucking Sons of the Forest. We'll see see if that's any good. Oh yeah, there's also, this wasn't like a recent game, or this was a recent game. It wasn't released a long time ago, but Valheim, I do have it. And I played a little bit of it. It's okay. I haven't played enough of it though to like gather a good, I guess, opinion of it, or any opinion for that matter. But the little that I have played of it's pretty good. I feel like it's one of those games that's better though to play when you are in a party with friends or whatever. Alright, what are we looking at here? Oh shit. Okay. You know what? I should probably get my glasses. Oh, okay, that was me. Hold on. Yeah, this is an interesting clip that I have not watched, but I read. Wow, is this difficult to open? Okay. What's going on? Let's see.
Identity politics, their philosophy, identity politics. And this is one of the main reasons why I left the Democratic Party, because you're seeing how their agenda of identity politics is directly undermining the traditional democratic values that were expressed so beautifully and clearly by Dr. Martin Luther King, that we should judge each other not based on the color of our skin.
Wait, okay, let's start over.
Their philosophy, identity politics. And this is one of the main reasons why I left the Democratic Party, because you're seeing how their agenda of identity politics is directly undermining the traditional democratic values that were expressed so beautifully.
So the people who were picked for these positions in Biden's cabinet, it doesn't hurt the fact that a lot of them are minorities, but these aren't like unqualified candidates. These are people who are qualified for the position and were selected.
Clearly by Dr. Martin Luther King, that we should judge each other not based on the color of our skin.
Dude, okay, and anytime you hear a conservative invoking the name of Martin Luther King to cite the content of your character remark, are usually doing so in bad faith. They don't actually take issue with like the things that Martin Luther King was fighting against, but are just usually invoking his name and the message he delivered because it's popular, and also to use it as a way of kind of attacking the lefties or Democrats who are engaging in white genocide or white cancellation. That's usually the moments in which these people seem very interested in quoting that specific line from Martin Luther King.
But based on our character, and yet as you have displayed here over and over with example after example, they're proud to be judging people, hiring people, selecting people based on race, which is really, let's be clear how serious of a problem this is. It's based...
Okay, so again, like I mentioned, these people have, obviously, they are qualified for the positions that they were selected for, and it's not, like, the framing here is like Biden selected these people because of their race or because of their whatever. That is not necessarily the case. That doesn't have to be the case. Obviously, there's a degree of tokenism that may be playing a role with, like, the selection here, because, like, I mean, he picked Kamala Harris for his VP slot, right? But the degree to which there are qualifications regarding the positions that were selected here, specifically the cabinet, not the vice president, they I would assume were sufficiently ascertained. So this deference to simply the identity of the individual being the operant factor in them being selected for that position is kind of dumb, because it's probably not the only thing that was considered.
Based on genetics, race, based on your blood, your genes. And where do we see that connection? Well, these are the very same geneticist core principles embodied by Nazism and Adolf Hitler.
Wow. Talk about a stretch there, buddy. I think that this is just dumb. Like, what do you want me to say? It's just stupid. The Nazis and so first off, the Nazis were a far right movement, but additionally, they did not engage in a degree of diversity among the higher ranks or the higher echelons of the political government that Biden is. This is a really, really stupid, comparison when you think about it for just a couple seconds here. Also, I just realized, it's funny that these people, specifically, Republicans or conservatives, will cry about the fact that lefties or liberals are always calling everything Nazi and Hitler and whatever, but then they use the same invocation here, erroneously, mind you, which it just, I don't know, it's kind of interesting, I guess.
And this should be something that is sickening and alarming to every single Democrat and every single...
It's really not alarming or sickening to have a diverse group of people in your cabinet.
American. We have seen where this philosophy can lead.
Wait, so is she implying that picking diverse people... So, wait, hold on. Is she implying that the appointment of different qualified candidates is going to lead us down to fascism or, literally Nazism? This is kind of ridiculous. The claim, obviously, is that he's making these, these selections based solely on race or whatever, but that's not necessarily the case. And if that is the case, you're going to need to demonstrate some proof here, outside of the fact that these people were selected. Couldn't you, if it was all white people, for example, couldn't you, make the same argument, basically? If it was all white people on his cabinet, all white men, you could also make this exact same argument. So I feel like there's a lot more to it than what's being conveyed here. Or the decision-making process, I mean. Wow. Boy, oh boy. Remember when she was, Tulsi Gabbard was, in the Democratic Party? Oh, yeah, I saw this too. Hold on. This isn't necessarily political, but... Clown
Girlfriend
World...
Tori made the bed.
Oh, shut up. Clown World, which... I feel like you can gather what their account is designed to do, is mocking, supposedly mocking the woman in this video. I don't know, we'll see, I guess. This is a TikTok, by the way.
Welcome to a day in my life while I live in a van in a Walmart parking lot with 2 other girls. We started off the day making a quick breakfast. We made avocado toast, and after we ate that, I changed out of my pajamas. And while my girlfriend Tori made the bed, I went into Walmart to dump my trash, restock on groceries, and go to the restroom. I do have a toilet in my van, but I use public restrooms when I can, so I can reduce the amount of time I have to empty my toilet. After getting groceries, I practiced my pull-ups, and I attempted to meditate. I also stretched and recorded all of it in my habit tracker. We worked for a little bit in the parking lot before we finally finished and drove into Joshua Tree National Park. We explored the area looking for a nice place to sit, drink.
So, I know this is unrelated, but I've actually been to... Well, I haven't been to Joshua Park, but I've driven right past it on the way to the airport. So I guess that doesn't count. But it's that area around that area is really beautiful.
drink wine, and watch the sunset. This is the first time we've had a sunny day in about 5 days, so we were really looking forward to being in the sun together and just outside in nature instead of cooped up in the van. We finally found a place to sit, and when the sun finally did set, it was more beautiful than any of us could have imagined. Welcome.
So, you may be wondering what's the big deal here, and I would agree. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this video, but apparently, some people, I don't know, I guess some people take an issue with it. Just wait till the rap breaks down. Yeah, okay. It's not even like a clown thing, dude. Like, who's the clown here? There's no clowns in sight. No one. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. But I think that this kind of lifestyle, right? Those who are younger, maybe it doesn't actually matter how old you are, I guess. But like those who use a van and travel a lot and don't are, I guess, nomadic lifestyle would be an appropriate term. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. I think that as long as you are, doing what makes you happy, and you're not harming anyone else, really, or I don't really see the issue here. I think it would be kind of cool to do this, maybe for not making my whole life, I guess, because I know they said they say a day in the life, implying that this is kind of what they do from, welcome to a day in my life. So I'm assuming that this is something they do every day. But there are some people who, make this their entire life, which I probably would not want to do. I would be more comfortable, I don't know, not doing it, I guess. But it would be cool to try it, maybe for a summer, to see how that goes. Sometimes I think it'd be nice to just get away from everything and go on a vacay. I don't know, see the country. Whoops. Yeah. Oh, I hate that. There's literally, I don't even know how to stop that from happening. Oh no. Why do I keep hitting that? Breaking. New research reveals 57-fold increase in miscarriages and 38-fold increase in stillbirths and fetal deaths. What? Fetal deaths after COVID mRNA jabs. The greatest violation of medical ethics and humanity ever. Says the leading obstetrician. Okay. This is quite the bold claim. Let's hear it out, I guess. And it's also, by the way, being covered on Tucker Carlson, the most watched news program in the United States of America.
Normalities and a 57-fold increase in miscarriages.
Yeah, where's the source on this? I want to hear. I need to see a source on this.
Wait, where's Planned Parenthood on this? Don't they care about women? There's also a 38-fold increase in stillborn or fetal death rate. Dr. James Thorpe co-authored the paper. He is a board-certified OBGYN maternal fetal medicine specialist, and we're happy to have him join us tonight.
Hot take, but experts in a field, or people who are doctors or what have you, can still be dumb fucks and also propagate conspiracy theories. That is definitely a thing that can happen.
Doctor, thank you so much for coming on. These, to the layman, these seem like very dramatic numbers. Is that how you read them?
Wait, is this the guy who shared this? What's his name again?
James Thorpe co-authored the paper. He is a board-certified OBGYN maternal fetal medicine specialist, and we're happy to have him join. Parenthood on this. Don't they care about women? There's also a 38-fold increase in stillborn or fetal death rate. Dr. James Thorpe co-authored the paper.
James Thorpe? Is that what he said? James Thorpe? James Thorpe? That's not him. I don't know if that's actually what he said. I don't know. I'm probably not going to find him.
He's a board-certified OBGYN maternal fetal medicine specialist.
But this person's...
And we're happy to have him join us tonight. Doctor, thank you so much for coming on. These, you know, to the layman, these seem like very dramatic numbers. Is that how you read them?
Yes, Tucker. And first of all, thank you very much for giving my patients...
Oh, okay, there it is. James Thorpe. So, hold on one second. Okay. Thorp. Okay. Is that him? Did I just find him? He's from Missouri. I don't know. I don't know if this is him. Maybe it is. Yes, that's him. Oh, damn, I found him. Okay. Let's see. What publications did he done? COVID-19 Disaster Capitalism Part 2. Huh. These are like his research shit. Is he like, does he have like a Wikipedia page? COVID-19, the Unraveling Experimental Medicine. In his third members having not taken a handicap check. Uh-oh. In this third part, we examine the path not taken, a handful of cheap, widely available home-based therapies, ozone preconditioning, hydroxychloroquine, and light vitamin treatment, which, had they been implemented early in the pandemic, would have reduced morbidity and mortality by 80% or more. The source is, I made it the fuck up, by the way. So, based upon this, he seems to, and also these people share the same surname, indicating to me that they're all related, which doesn't bode well for the diversity of thought here. Additionally, they seem to be advocating for alternative medicine, but specifically things that have been proven to not be as effective, at least at the time of publication, with respect to, like, specifically hydroxychloroquine. Social policy sponsored by the science community and active by policymakers to curtail dynamics of COVID-19. Unexpected magnetic attraction. This is, okay. Wait, the safety of, okay, that's actually him, though. That's kind of crazy. I found him. Oh, they actually, like, analyzed his thing? Review of articles by James Thorpe. Oh, so this guy made a claim, apparently, that mRNA COVID-19 vaccines accumulate in the ovaries, change menstrual cycles, and lead the immune system to mount an immune response to their own placental protein. This has been verified as inaccurate by healthfeedback.org. Okay, so he is spreading misinformation with respect to COVID-19 vaccinations, and we're supposed to take this man's word seriously with in this case respect to the supposed research pertaining to a 57-fold increase in miscarriages and 38-fold increase in stillbirths based upon the vaccine. Also, the fact that he is pushing hydroxychloroquine as an alternative medicine thing, as well as apparently also looking at economics, even though he is a doctor, like a medical doctor. Okay, yeah, I don't know. This guy is just not reliable. But here we go, I guess. This is why you do your research, peoples.
A voice. My views are not shared by my employer, maybe not. But let's start out. One can make a very strong argument, Tucker, that the pushing
Oh, dude, look at this. Maternal fetal medicine specialists increased risk of menstrual abnormalities, miscarriages after fact. This has been already verified to be inaccurate by the medical community. So, but look at it. It's like phrased as though this is a fact of reality, and it's often conveyed from people who aren't drinking the Kool-Aid, the conservative Kool-Aid, that is, that these people seem to be living in a completely different reality, and this is in part the reason why information is being disseminated which is inaccurate or completely divorced from the scientific consensus. So, I mean, this is kind of how propaganda functions, right?
Of these experimental COVID-19 vaccines.
They're not experimental. They're verified and approved by the FDA.
Globally, is the
Yes.
greatest violation of medical ethics in the history of medicine, maybe humanity.
Coming from one human being who has propagated medical misinformation. I don't think he is at. I don't think he enjoys the luxury of credibility here.
We have never, ever broken the sacrosanct golden rule of pregnancy. Never, ever. I published extensively in my career and extensively in the last 3 years, all on COVID. And what we've seen, this article, we're honored that I hear that it's going to be a lead featured article in a major peer-reviewed medical journal, which will be published, God willing, March 1st. And let me set the scenario. What we did was we compared the COVID-19 vaccine adverse events over 18 months with that of the influenza vaccine over 282 months. Now, Tucker, the FDA and the CDC, this is governmental data, and they use a danger threshold. We did it exactly by their...
It should be noted that the people at Fox News, including Tucker, has, I believe, in an expose, stated that COVID-19 denialism or vaccine skepticism is like batshit insane, but they're only doing this segment to placate to the conservative audience, who's also batshit insane. So, because that's the case, I don't necessarily know to what extent the pundits and people who work at Fox News actually believe this, but there is definitely people who work at Fox News, the stories of which they air to millions upon millions of people. They believe that the shit that they're airing out to those people is terrible, or is inaccurate, or they don't believe it themselves, but instead are doing it for the sake of propagating, conservative talking points, framing, etc., so forth. Again, I can't speak necessarily to the amount of people who actually buy into this shit. There probably will be a lot of them, but there's also a decent number of them who probably don't and are just doing it for the sake of securing monetary benefits.
Here's recommendations of twofold or greater is abnormal. And what you said is true. We found a 1,200-fold increase in severe menstrual abnormalities, a 57-fold increase in miscarriage, a 38-fold increase in fetal death.
Keep in mind that the numbers he's reciting here would almost lead to the extinction of the human race. There is absolutely no either. I just don't believe this. The person who is citing these numbers is unreliable, and the methodology behind their research, I'm sure if you dug into it, would be flawed. So I just can't accept this.
Or stillbirth rates.
Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Hold on. Hello?
Hey, you didn't answer my text. What should these cups do?
Oh, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. I forgot where I was.
And we found 15 other major
Oh yeah, he was citing like insane high numbers that would have probably lead to the extinction of the human race as part of his research, apparently.
pregnancy complications, all far exceeding the CDC and the FDA values.
It's just incredible to me that these people, these like dense motherfuckers on national television are basically just lying. They claim to have this study, but they trout out this information as though it is like this secret like thing that is being suppressed by the FDA or the CDC or whatever. It's like, I just don't get how these people can openly lie on national television.
Of safety. So what we have is I can produce more than 30 other completely independent sources globally that corroborate exactly our findings, Tucker. And
I would like to see those sources.
if that's not bad enough, there are includes Pfizer's own internal data.
Unbelievable. I hope the self-appointed defenders of women will take notice. We appreciate your work, Dr. James Thorpe. Thank you.
Yeah, this was... Oh, and let's see the person who shared this, who shared this video on Twitter. So we now know that the doctor that was brought on to Tucker Carlson's show was unreliable, and the person who is sharing this video... Oh, right off the bat, we are having Russell Brand... Uh-oh, okay. Doesn't necessarily mean they're terrible, but they're doing a lot of retweeting here. Doesn't this flower mean something? I could be wrong, but isn't it like... Oh, maybe it's not, I don't know. Was this Keep in mind that even if we discover this person is fine or not sussy-wussy, I still believe the segment itself is harmful. Have you risked your career speaking on mRNA? Yes. Speaking the truth is not safe, but not speaking truth is even less safe. We're fighting psychotic... Oh, so here we go. Right here... Oh, you can barely see it, I guess, on your end. Have you risked your career speaking out about the mRNA jab? Yes. Speaking the truth is not safe, but not speaking the truth is even less... So the implication here is that if they're not speaking... The implication is the truth, the actual truth, is that it is, if, like, that getting the jab, I guess, is bad, or speaking out against the efficacy of the vaccine is also bad. That you would be canceled, or it is not safe to speak the real truth, which is that the mRNA jab is harmful, and therefore speaking out about that would be like suicide. Autopsy showed that the mRNA vaccine safely paradigm collapsed. The mRNA stays in the blood, or stays in the body and expresses toxic spike protein in cells throughout the body. All organs are affected, including blood vessels, heart, brain, reproductive. It has to stop. What? This is probably inaccurate. Oh my god, and it's posted on rumble.com? No way. How are these guys gaining prominence on the Twitter algorithm? The evidence is mounting indisputable that mRNA vaccines can cause serious harm, including death, especially among... This is a verifiably retarded thing to say. Especially among young people. This is even more retarded. We have to stop giving them immediately. if the vaccine was never disseminated, then the deaths at the hands of COVID-19 would be far greater than what it be right now, because the amount of hospitalizations and excess mortality for those who are unvaccinated has far exceeded the ones for which they're the vaccinated population. Amazing. Actually amazing. This is something that this guy talked about. So basically, here's the bottom line here, okay? This guy who is supposedly a doctor, is sharing bullshit, a lack of consensus, bad research, and information pertaining to the COVID-19 vaccine. He is sharing a video from Tucker Carlson, a known partisan and a known conservative, a far-right conservative at that, who has said a lot of bad shit. A segment of him talking to another doctor who is also unreliable by way of their advocacy of hydroxychloroquine as a viable alternative to the COVID-19 vaccine, and has trotted out statistics that are just like divorced from reality. Like, these statistics that he cites here would literally mean the deaths of the human species, which we are not going to say at this time. So literally everything here is just a nothing burger, and further demonstrates the mental retardation that plagues the conservative apparatus. Nonetheless, we must endure this kind of anti-vax bullshit for a while, because they will continue doing this because it's their grift. Not only is it their grift, but it also overlaps with the conspiracy-brained demographic, which unfortunately is a large proportion of the conservative movement at this rate. So yeah, we're just going to see more of this, I guess, is the point here. I've been talking a lot about the vaccine and shit recently. Not on purpose. I've never really planned to do it, but it just happens. Okay, let me start gathering some shit for the actual segment that we were gonna do. Let's see. Did I? No, that's not it. Let's see. We need to bring this up. We also need to bring this other thing up. This thingy right here. Wow, there's a lot of shit going on with this. This is probably going to be paywalled. Let's see. Surprisingly, it's not. Okay, we'll look into that in a minute. Okay. I need a swig before we do this. Okay. Okay. So it's been a couple weeks, I believe now, since the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. And it is turning into a very heated political topic coming into the 2024 elections season. We are seeing, this reminds me a lot, actually, of the politicization of Flint, Michigan, the water that was contaminated in Flint, Michigan. It's feeling very similar in terms of the political atmosphere with that specifically. Now, it's still a developing situation, of course, and there are jurisdictions, we saw this, I believe, last week, but there are jurisdictions outside of the county for which that disaster took place in, and even the state, that are being affected. Now, do not be mistaken, there are some conspiracy theories being, like, I guess, perpetuated by some actors online, which I will highlight right now, in fact, because this is quite incredible. So before we begin into the actual thing, the entire issue, I guess, with the East Palestine train derailment has obviously garnered a lot of attention, but in addition to that, there has been a lot of, well, I don't know about a lot, but there have been some conspiracies or false information or pieces of information that is spreading, of course, by the conservative, like the right, okay? One of which was this, which I thought was very funny and sad.
Melt and be this color.
Oh, shit. So, this person right here, DC Dariano, anti-woke. So basically, you can derive a lot of presuppositions based upon this person's bio. The fact that they have patriot and anti-woke in their bio is kind of a self-report. But regardless of this person is also deeply, deeply, deeply retarded. And I don't say that lightly. They say the following. Looks like the toxic cloud from Ohio has reached Canada. People are seeing chemical rainbows in melted snow. This is now an international ecological disaster caused by corrupt government officials hoping nobody would notice. So there's a lot to dissect here. But the short thing to analyze is basically that this person is troubled mentally, and that they should probably undertake some therapy very soon, because this is literally just how physics works. So as this very elegantly puts it, the context that's here is that a rainbow effect on roads is common when roads are wet. This is caused when oil in the road surface floats on accumulated water. And if you don't believe me, here is an article that discusses such a matter, the phenomena, I suppose. And keep in mind that personally, I live, and take from this what you will, but I personally live in a environment that is, it snows a lot, and I have seen this from time and time again, and mostly like in the downtown area of where I live. But regardless, it is a phenomenon that is known to happen. However, this person is attributing the presence of a rainbow effect on the road to the ecological disaster, as he puts it, from Ohio. This is Ontario, Canada, is what he's saying. And you have a bunch of absolute fucking idiots in these comments, who is stating things such as, like, well, I lived in Canada, or I lived in Alaska from all my life, and I've literally never, ever seen anything like this. Which is remarkable, for a couple of reasons, but not the least concerning of which being that this is just how physics works. So regardless, I guess this is just more me highlighting the fact that people are utilizing the popularity or the controversy associated with this train derailment in Ohio as a means of, like, opening up Pandora's box for this broader conspiracy theory. Because this person does appeal to conspiracy in this final statement here. This is now an international ecological disaster caused by corrupt government officials with, and this is the important point to note here, hoping nobody would notice. So this is, I mean, this exploits some cognitive biases that the human brain is susceptible to, which happens to overlap, of course, with conspiratorial thinking. So I'm not surprised, I guess, that this is happening, but I didn't think that they would stoop to such mental, like, gymnastics that they would actually make the argument that rainbow-colored snow was caused by a quote-unquote toxic cloud from Ohio. It's actually remarkable. I really don't have much... I don't even know how to wrap my mind around this kind of line of reasoning. The only way in which anybody can derive such a incredible conclusion is if they are, like, either lying themselves or they're just actually, like, their brain's broken. So that's wonderful. But the thing that I would like to highlight, this is an aside, but the more, let's get into the politics here. Donald Trump, okay? He is a person who was a former president, but is announced his running for 2024, and he had visited Ohio, East Palestine, and he went to a McDonald's, so that's cool. A leader of the working class and proletariat. You don't see many politicians going into a fast food restaurant and ordering some Mickey D's, you know? So let's see how this interaction takes place.
What's your specialty today?
How are you today? Nice to meet you.
Hello, everybody. That's a nice, beautiful looking group of baby.
Wow.
So I know this menu better than you do, okay? I probably know it better than any...
Dude, can you imagine being on shift when Donald fucking Trump comes? Oh my god, dude. Also, imagine being the person who's taking the president of the United States order, and, like, you're making minimum wage, and this guy's literally, like, a multi-millionaire who was the former most powerful human on the planet, coming up to you and saying, I know this menu better than you.
Everybody in here. We're going to take care of the fire department.
Okay.
We're going to take care of the...
Damn, that was a little buffer there, huh?
Okay.
We're going to take care of the police department.
So, the clip ends there. So, here's the deal, okay? He is making the rounds, and this is obviously a major PR thing, right? And this is going to, I hate to say it, but it will be benefiting the conservatives in Ohio for the 2024 election, because this is like good publicity shit, right? The fact that he's there and he's providing aid, in spite of the fact that the aid that which he is providing is stuff that actually profits, like he profits personally from. That's specifically, of course, one example of which being Trump Water. Some of you may know Trump Water by a more colloquial name, water. It's just water. And the bottom line here is that he is doing this obviously for cynicism, but it's to create, like, I guess, an appeal to the common person. It's great politically, okay? It's just a smart political decision to make to just physically be there, right? And especially given the fact that the conservative apparatus has been going after Biden for turning his back against the Ohio, East Palestine, I guess, turning his back against the people. So I guess we'll watch a little bit of this.
Thank you, sir. Honor to meet you, sir. Mr. Trump, what do you make it about Biden not showing up? You showing up before he did.
See, right there. We're already getting into that, right? Biden isn't here, but Trump is. He's here to save the day. And this line of thinking, in spite of the fact that Trump has stated as such and has done as such, I'm continuing to get rid of costly and unnecessary regulations. Much work left to do, but effort will be great. So he was responsible for rolling back train-breaking rule meant to keep oil tankers from exploding near communities. So basically, he was responsible for the deregulation that allowed for such a train derailment to take place in the first place. And now he is here in East Palestine, reaping the political benefits of seeming as though he is here to save the day. So he creates a catastrophe, and then he swoops in to save the day.
Thank you so much
And I don't know, man. Maybe it's just because I'm not a conservative or like a normie, but like I would like I don't know, like the person who's like these people are thanking him for being here. It just seems weird to me. Like he's obviously here for self-interest. He's not here to like because he gives a shit about you. I don't know. I don't know. Even if this were like a Democrat or whatever, I would probably be like, it's just a photo op. That's what it is. You know, it's not like an earnest attempt at being altruistic. It's just he's there to garner political capital. I mean, he's literally signing hats.
The real president. President Trump. Thank you.
Cult of personality, a common characteristic of a fascist, and it. I mean, I don't know. That's something I've noticed here. I get the vibes. Dude, do you really, honest to God, think that he would have given East fucking Palestine a second thought if it weren't for the train derailment? Are you kidding me? A train derailment, by the way, caused in part or indirectly by the deregulation, which Trump spearheaded.
Thank you, Don Jr. too.
My daughter was like
Okay, so again, you kind of get the gist here. It's about guarding political capital and being a photo op, and this is going to be effective. Ohio is already a pretty red state, and it seems as though this is going to only become more the case as time progresses. And the fact that he is here with J.D. Vance, by the way, the fact that he's here showing up, signing shit, shaking hands, the fact that he's like physically there is like a huge win, like optically. And of course, Biden has stated that he will not be visiting East Palestine. I mean, this just is just poor political instincts. Coming off the heels of your political opponent in 2024, like physically being in an area that is making the rounds on the news and television, a small community, and they are physically there, your political opponent, and they are signing shit, shaking hands, and connecting with the people. And I say connecting loosely, but in response to this, you come out and say that you're not going to visit Ohio? Or East Palestine, Ohio? I just don't think this is good. Now, an argument could be made that, like, if he were to say, I'm going to come visit, then it's going to be, like, it's going to come off as though he is, like, trying to copy what Trump is doing. And also, that community seems like Trump country, so I don't know if he's going to receive a warm welcome. So there might be some political calculations taken into account that I'm not, necessarily cognizant of. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just, there's like a lose-lose here. I feel like if he goes, then it doesn't come off as effective as when Trump went, partially because it's Trump country, but also because you're literally only responding because Trump was there, so people are going to think that you're not being authentic. You're just coming to for the photo op. So it's multiple reasons, I think. In addition, the man, the myth, the legend, Pete Buttigieg is not making the life of the Biden, I guess, any easier, or himself. He says some really dumb things.
And the other freight rail companies, but also Norfolk Southern and the other freight rail companies need to stop fighting us every time we try to do a regulation. But also...
Oh, that's it? He said the railroad companies force us to deregulate us. Oh, okay. So they interpreted that. Got it. Regardless, this is probably not a good comment either.
So Norfolk Southern and the other freight rail companies need to stop fighting us every time we try to do a regulation.
I think it's amazing that a man as quote-unquote intelligent as Pete Buttigieg is seemingly surprised by the fact that corporations are interested or self-interested in profit and will lobby the government to get any deregulation necessary that would otherwise maximize their profits. Yeah, like, obviously, yeah, the companies are going to fight you if you want to regulate their shit. Yes. Okay. I know, like, he wants to pawn off some of the culpability onto... He wants to shift the culpability from the Biden administration to the train companies. That's fine. But, like, this is still, like, a weak, pathetic, like, response. Now, in terms of what the actual news is looking like right now with East Palestine, we'll take a look really quick. So, 3 weeks after the toxic train derailment in Ohio, an independent analysis of Environmental Protection Agency data has found 9 air pollutants at levels that, if they persist, could raise long-term health concerns in and around East Palestine. The analysis by Texas A&M University researchers stands in contrast to statements by state and federal regulators that air near the crash site is completely safe, despite residents complaining about rashes, breathing problems, and other health effects. So yeah, I saw a comment. Let's see if I can find it. No, not that. Yeah. This person said there's no crisis. Well, this is what I was responding to earlier. Source on unnatural animal death. Okay, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, let's continue. Jay Williams, hello. Okay. Now, I forgot where it was. Right, let's read. Okay. In its examination of EPA data, the Texas A&M researchers found elevated levels of chemicals known to trigger eye and lung irritation, headaches, and other symptoms, as well as some that are known or suspected to cause cancer. Okay. It would take months, if not years, of exposure to pollutants for serious health effects. EPA officials emphasized this point Friday. They stressed that the safety threshold that researchers use to analyze the data assumes constant exposure over a lifetime. Instead, they don't expect a pollution to remain at high concentrations for that long. So if this were the case, I'm not necessarily agreeing or disagreeing with this statement, because I don't know. But if this were the case, how did they come to such a conclusion? Like, why does it take... How long is too long? Or how... You know? I guess I have to get in, like, to the weeds of like, the research the EPA itself did, but still. The Texas researchers said it was good news that levels of benzene and related chemicals were not elevated to the air sampling, but they said EPA measured a hazardous substance found in smoke at concentrations that could have long-term health effects along with other chemicals. So there seems to be contradicting information coming out from in regards to the safety of the community itself in East Palestine. I don't know if there's any political motivation behind EPA downplaying this. I don't think that's the case here. I think that I believe that the differences here observed by the Texas researchers and the EPA are in good faith. They're not like... I think that there's just like a difference of like scientific differences, I guess. It's not like in bad faith or anything. But they said EPA measure... Oh, wait, I read that. Okay. So here's from the Texas A&M. Okay, a lot of shit that I can't understand because I'm not a scientist yet. Of the cars that derailed from the Norfolk Southern train on February 3rd, 11 of them were carrying chemicals used to make plastic. At temperatures inside of one car rail rose to levels that authorities feared would cause massive explosion. They carried out a controlled release of the chemicals. Okay, that makes sense. That seems safe to me. EPA collected the data between February 4th and February 21st and posted the data publicly, but without context that shows potential concern about long-term health effects. A professor of veterinary physiology and pharmacology at Texas A&M. While some of the highest air pollution readings EPA reported collected in days after the controlled chemical release, some more recent samples still remain elevated. Interesting. We can't say whether these levels are causing the current symptoms. EPA would want to definitely make sure that these higher levels that are detected would be reduced before they left and declared everything cleaned up. EPA said it has conducted indoor air testing on about 570 homes and found no contamination or contaminants associated with the derailment inside them. The agency continues to test air through 20 monitors around the East Palestine area, as well as via aircraft and other mobile detection equipment. Instead, it has not detected any levels of air pollution associated with the derailment that trigger health concerns from short-term exposure. Okay. So the EPA... The news coming from the EPA is encouraging, but there's still questions here. Experts say Texas A&M's analysis is not a cause for immediate concern, but that it highlights uncertainties about the derailment's long-term effects. I think that that's a fine conclusion to draw from here. We don't know enough about how those levels will change over time in order to rule out any concerns about long-term exposure risks, said this person from Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. An evolving understanding of the EPA's exposure mitigation activities and data show they're effective, would give us more confidence in trying to make a statement about potential risks. Okay, at the same time, it's relatively easy to understand the impacts of contamination coming from the factory or a power plant, for example. Yep. Okay. One woman said that she was dealt with persistent breathing problems and a sore throat in recent weeks, asked about the panel. So there are definitely citizens within residents within East Palestine that are experiencing side effects, presumably from the train derailment. However, the EPA has stated that they're not finding any contamination inside of, I guess, the sample of 570 homes they went into. Yeah, it's tough to say, because you have some people who are, again, saying that they're experiencing these ailments, but then you have the EPA saying that they didn't find any contamination, and then you have Texas A&M saying that there's long-term health effects that we can't really measure right now because this is a recent thing that happened. So the long and the short of it seems as though both agencies, the Texas A&M University, the researchers, and EPA, seem like they're coming from good faith places, but the conclusions they're drawing from are just different. This obviously has to come with the way in which they conduct their research. The methodology behind it is going to obviously influence the conclusions when they draw. But I don't know. I think that, like, I don't know. I think maybe funding needs to be given to the community in order to do a better job of cleaning this stuff up. I don't know to what extent it can be cleaned up or whether or not it needs to just, like, dissipate, right? Whatever the community needs, the state government should obviously offer aid to it. I think that's obvious. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty, like, self-evident, right? Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I guess that's really it for this. The political effects are going to be, the political outcomes of this is going to be, like, it's going to help conservatives probably, because this definitely makes for good political ads, right? You have Trump, who is going to the people and shaking their hands and is there for them when they need them, whereas Biden is giving more funding to Ukraine and is turning his back on the citizens. This is definitely a thing that they can exploit, the conservatives. So we're gonna have to deal with that, I guess. But I don't know, man. Biden was also, by the way, responsible for the union busting that allowed for. He was just recently responsible, union busting. I don't know if it was truck drivers or actually the train. I believe it was the train industry, the train unions, and that might have played a role as well here. Obviously, the thing that Trump did with the deregulation was a little more, probably worse because of the fact that it literally directly, it was rolling back regulations with train braking. So that's a little more of a through line than Biden union busting. But both, by the way, are bad. I think one's a little worse, obviously, but they're still both bad. Now, the only difference is that Trump is exploiting this opportunity to garner, political capital, so that way he can spend it upon the ads that he'll be running in Ohio, and probably across the country, with regards to this East Palestine derailment. So, yeah, it's going to be tough here. It's going to be one of those tough issues for Biden to fight back against, I guess. Especially if he has established the fact that he's not going to be going to East Palestine. It's rough. Oh boy, okay. Oh shit. Hold on. My coffee gets way too cold way too quickly. Oh yeah, I saw this as well. I didn't watch it. I'll just watch it here now.
Trying to invade our states or our.
Whoa,
I don't think the left would ever stop. I don't think they'll ever stop trying to invade our states.
What does he mean invade? What is this language? It's the United States of America. people are free to travel from state to state. People are free to move from state to state. Like, what? Invade?
Or our county, so how do we stop them?
Well, I think that...
By the way, what he's implicitly advocating for is a more insular community to further enhance their echo chamber and radicalize, like, an already radical, like, group of people.
You know, red states could choose and how they allow people to vote in their states. For example...
They cannot do that. That is not allowed. In fact, that is against, like, the Constitution, I believe, depending on who you're targeting. If you're going to be targeting women, it's going to be violating the 19th Amendment. I mean, like, what are they talking about, dude? Are they, like, literally just advocating for preventing liberals from voting?
Well, I think that, you know, red states could choose and how they allow people to vote in their states. For example, over the past couple of years, we've seen a mass exodus from California and New York.
And part of the reason why is because the cost of living there, especially with regards to housing, has gone up dramatically. This is why you're seeing people moving from California to, say, Washington, Colorado, or Texas, or even Florida. That's definitely part of the reason.
Where we've seen people fleeing those leftist policies and moving.
Well, that's not necessarily a product of leftist. First off, leftist policies to them literally means anything that is left of center. A leftist policy is one that is post-capitalist, which is not anything that the Democrats are adopting. Furthermore, the policies that are I guess being proposed and passed in these leftist states are usually like just liberal policies. I guess the furthest to the left state would be maybe California, maybe. But like the fact that the housing is the prices of housing is the to the extent that it is isn't necessarily a direct consequence of the economic policies passed by Democrats. It's just a natural, like, well, I don't know if I would say natural, but it is a product, more so of a product, in my opinion, of just the amount of people living within that state. That makes sense because the surface area of the state doesn't change, but the population does. It does frequently, in fact. So obviously this would make demand for housing much more, elevated. It's not the only variable, of course, that contributes to the housing prices going up, but it is one of them. And with these states, such as New York and California, these are very large states in terms of population, so it does stand to reason that their housing prices would be going up. The same could be said, there are certain areas within the country that are not necessarily liberal, but are the prices of which, like the housing, is increasing. You can see this, I believe, in like Texas, obviously, Florida, even Georgia to some extent. So it's not like a direct. I guess the point here is that it's not a direct consequence of the liberal or the lefties, excuse me, that people are leaving these states and moving elsewhere.
Moving to states like Florida, Georgia, Texas, states where they like the tax policies, they like the schools, they like the consequences of Republican and red policies. What I think would be something that some red states could propose is, well, okay, if Democrat voters choose to flee these blue states where they cannot tolerate the living conditions, they don't want their children taught these horrible things, and they really change their mind on the types of policies that they support, well, once they move to a red state, guess what? Maybe you don't get to vote for 5 years. You can live there, you can work there.
So basically what she's doing is advocating for the disenfranchisement of a political group of people, in this case liberals.
But you don't get to bring your values that you basically created in the blue states you came from by voting for Democrat leaders and Democrat policies. But this would be up to red states to be able to choose to do something.
And by the way, state governments cannot do this. They cannot like disenfranchise people based upon the political affiliation of that citizen. They can't do that. I guess they can try, but it would be a constitutional nightmare.
And like that, so that their red states don't get changed which is what's happening, unfortunately, when Democrat voters leave their Democrat states and they take their Democrat votes with them. That would be something that these red states would have.
One of the things that conservatives need that they would like to fight against, obviously, is the influence or the political votes, or that's kind of a redundant term, but the votes that these Democrats are bringing with them to these red states. They would like to mitigate the extent to which that influences their already conservative state. So one way of doing this, of course, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, is to literally disenfranchise them for 5 years. I don't really know what to say to that. I mean, like, this is, by the way, the party that loves to trout out the fact that they're, like, pro-freedom and liberty, except this is, like, as authoritarian as I can get. Well, there's a lot of things that they do that's authoritarian, but this is, like, one of them. Like, literally preventing a group of people from voting.
Have to really consider and choose to do, but I'm a big believer in freedom, Charlie.
Wait, that's what? You can't claim to be a proponent of freedom when you're actually restricting their freedom in a meaningful sense, like in a democratic sense. What? Self-parody, man.
But I'm also a big believer in defending our ability to pursue life and liberty and happiness.
So, Democrats coming into your country, or not your country, coming into your state and living there and voting is not an infringement upon your way of life, necessarily. Like, their existence is not, like, an infringement upon that.
But I'm also a big believer in defending our ability to pursue life and liberty and happiness, and the left is completely destroying that.
Cool. As opposed to the right. Nice. You can't make this shit up. They're actually just, like, authoritarians. I like, what do you want me to say? That's just kind of what it is. Oh, yeah, and to drive the point home further here, I mean, she made a tweet as well. We need a national divorce. So, we need to separate by red states and blue states and shrink the federal government. Everyone I talk to says this, from the sick and disgusting woke up. Okay, hold on. So, let's go point by point. So, we need a national divorce. So, obviously, she's referring to secession, which just can't happen, but okay. We need to separate by red states and blue states. I don't know how this could possibly be achieved. The only type of secession that has been offered by scholars, political scientists, and the like, have been those on the West Coast, like California, Oregon, and Washington. But even then, it just can't. I don't know, like, how realistic that would be anyway. But, like, red states and blue states, how the fuck are you gonna separate the two? If you separate, this doesn't make any sense. If you separate the two, they still are within the purview of the federal government, right? And first off, they already are separated. There's like territory boundaries. I don't know what this means. This doesn't make actually any sense. The only way in which this would make sense is if she literally just means, like, red states secede from the Union, which they've already tried that and lost. But she also invokes the existence of the federal government. If these states are separated, which, by the way, they already are, but if she means them for the red states to secede, the federal government would only be within the purview of, like, the blue states, because the red states would be the ones that want to secede in this instance. So this just doesn't make any sense. The people that she apparently talks to, I would assume, are, like, Oath Keeper types, or insurrectionists, or really just any far-right group you can think of. From the sick and disgusting woke culture issues, by woke culture, she just means progressivism or egalitarianism. Anything that is, like, pro-minority or whatever, she includes in the woke culture. Woke culture is something that was completely contrived off of conservatives. So yeah, I don't know. Shoved down our throats. I don't know what this means. What does shoved down your throat even mean? Like, I don't know. Like, the normalization of minority groups is, like, shoving down your throat. Okay. To the Democrats' traitorous America Last policies. It's really interesting that she describes this as traitorous when she was completely on board, and I believe to some extent even participated within the January 6th insurrection, something that is actually traitorous. Remarkable. Simply remarkable, I don't know. And by the way, this kind of rhetoric is being pushed on once again, the largest news channel in the country. Hannity highlights these bullet points, I suppose. Much smaller federal... So this is what could happen, apparently, under a national divorce. Which is, by the way, interesting framing. They know they can't explicitly say secession because there's a lot of, like, obvious negative connotations associated with that term. So instead, they defer to this new, very innovative concept called national divorce, which basically just means the same thing. Apparently, this could mean a much smaller federal government. Again, we already... This is like a paradox. It's just, if you're seceding, you're not going to have... Like, the jurisdiction of the government, the federal government, would only pertain to blue states, because the red states, again, would be the only ones seceding. This is, of course, not even mentioning the fact that it is not possible for states to secede, and even if they did, they would... a lot of negative consequences would come about as a product of that. They would not receive Social Security or any federal funding whatsoever, so basically they'd be on their own. Additionally, the United States National Guard, military, so on and so forth, would just invade and reconquer the territory. So this is deeply, like, delusional. States fully control public education. I guess that's technically true because there would be no, like, the federal government would have, like, yeah, sure, but, like, that's probably bad, right? States could continue using fossil fuels. States already can continue using fossil fuels. The states that have more renewable energy would include, like, California and Texas, Texas being a red state, and maybe some of the, like, middle states, like Kansas and Nebraska, shit, I don't know. But this idea that states are being prevented from using fossil fuels, the implication here is just factually incorrect. One-day elections with paper ballots. Very strange to say this as well. They just want to disenfranchise as many people as possible. And law enforcement supported and funded. This is already the case, so I don't know. A national divorce or not, law enforcement are already being quote-unquote supported and funded. So this is also very weird to say. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I thought somebody was here, but because my dogs were freaking out, but I guess not. Okay, let's move on here. Alright, we got a couple of vids to check out. Alright, let's go.
How did you get to this point? I mean, I look at topics, for example, how do you reconcile defund the police and no bail laws with law and order? How do you reconcile secure borders and wide open borders?
I don't think Democrats are ever saying, let the border be open. Like, this is... Like, they're confused about a contradiction that doesn't exist. This is not something that's happening.
How do you reconcile energy independence with energy dependence and New Green Dealism? How do you...
New Green Dealism. Oh my god. Yeah, like... Anytime, like, anybody could add ISM to the end of any word, and they automatically assume that that person has a PhD in fucking political science. It's just, like, ridiculous. They add ism to everything.
You reconcile peace through strength with
the only ism that I subscribe to is anarcho-Bidenism. That is the only one that matters.
People that want to gut our defense.
That's also not happening. Again, as often is the case, Fox News lying. The defense budget has only been increasing with time, and has been increasing with Democrats and conservative presidents alike. So this is untrue as well.
I don't see middle ground on a lot of these issues. So what is the other answer if it's not a divorce?
Well, exactly, Sean. That's the problem and where we are today. And in my life, in my world, all of my friends are regular Americans. Everyone I talk to.
That's probably not true. The circles in which she runs in are probably those who are very far right.
Is sick and tired and fed up of being bullied by the left, abused by the left, and disrespected by the left.
What is this civility politics? Okay, grow a fucking spine. Jesus. Yeah, we're gonna be mean to you because you're mean to us.
And our ideas, our policies, our ways of life
are all harmful.
Have become so far apart that it's just coming to that point. And the last thing I ever want to see in America is a civil war. No.
That cannot possibly be true. You were in favor of the insurrection, as well as calling for a national divorce. In other words, secession. So yeah, you would 100% be on board with a civil war. Yes, 100%.
No one wants that. At least everyone I know would never want that. But it's going that direction.
The only reason why it is going that direction is because of the extremism to the right that people such as you, Majority Taylor Greene, are engaging in. You are contributing to the schism between the liberals and the conservatives to a violent extent. I mean, we just saw a clip here of you advocating for the disenfranchisement of liberals if they move to red states for 5 years. She can't play the defense, or she can't play like she's on the fence here when she's not.
I actually think this is a much...
Look at this framing, by the way. Woke agenda, Green New Deal, cult, dividing America. Words don't mean anything, really, to the conservative. They just use things that sound scary. That's actually it. The words themselves have no meaning. It's just whatever sounds scary in the moment.
Much bigger movement than most people in Washington even realize. And you can take a look at the tweets that I made just yesterday. The amount of likes and retweets that those tweets got should tell people.
Yeah, we're now using the popularity among the over 300 million citizens that reside under this country by a tweet.
People a lot, and they're just not aware of it yet because they don't talk to regular people.
Regular people don't use... Okay. Alright, what else we got?
Well, I think it's something that we should...
And do you expect it'll happen? Last question.
Oh, here we go. I can't wait for this.
Well, I think it's something that we should work towards because, you know...
So she's doubling down on working towards a national divorce. In other words, a secession.
No, it's kind of the vision that our founding fathers had.
What? Oh my god! I can't believe it! I am simply... I don't even know what to say. I don't know, man. This is something else. The founding fathers would have her, shot in the back of the head and thrown in the fucking harbor if they saw the kind of extremism that she, as well as other conservatives like her, engage in. Is this like a joke?
For America, and I think it's a great one. It worked in the beginning. We just got it completely out of control.
That's also not what happened, but okay. Every state was basically its own, little country. It wasn't divided like red and blue. That's not what happened.
So I hope we can get there.
All right, Marjorie Taylor Greene, thanks for explaining it all to us.
Great. Wait, did they say anything else?
We appreciate it, as always. When we come back, Liam Neeson, the...
Nope. Okay, that's it. Wow, okay. So, politicians openly advocating for secession, while also apparently saying that they don't want a civil war. I don't know. The political incoherence here is a little disorienting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the modern conservative right now is basically just like a fascist. I mean that sincerely, by the way. Maybe not the average conservative voter, but certainly the average conservative like politician. Like they enable fascism to a large extent, as well as simply being a party of obstructionists. You know, they everything is just to fuck over Democrats. They don't actually stand for anything. Everything is anti like woke or anti Biden or anti Democrat or so on and so forth. They don't actually like stand for anything. The only thing they do stand for, the common like denominator here, is being an obstructionist. They're not like pro anything good, right? The only thing in which they are like they will vote in favor of is probably like, you know, tax cuts and shit like that. But other than that, like everything is about obstructing Democrats. Yeah, I don't know. Whew, boy. Wow, we live in a wacky, wacky world, don't we? Oh, man. Whew. Oh, boy, I don't know if I'm gonna get, like, DMCA'd with this. Yeah, I'm not even gonna risk it. Fuck. Damn it. Sorry for that. It's gonna happen, I guess. Oh. I probably should have viewed the entire thing here. So, we're backtracking a little bit, but going back to Pete Buttigieg and his press conference about Norfolk. Here. Well, what? Why? Oh, here we go. This is the larger clip.
And the other freight rail companies need to stop fighting us every time we try to do a regulation in order to hold them accountable and their other railroad companies accountable for their safety record. And what we've seen is industry goes to Washington and they get their way.
Dude, how is this video quality such shit? What?
They got their way on the ECP rule. They got their way on a Christmas tree of regulatory changes that the last administration made on its way out the door in December of 2020.
And the administration for which you work for has union busted the same unions that were trying to get paid sick leave. So, I mean, like, a lot of, you know, fingers to be pointed.
I think they're getting their way on the fines being too low. I'm sorry, but if the biggest fine we can charge on a violation is $250,000 or less, and that's an egregious hazmat violation.
What a liberal fucking response to this. Holy shit. How about passing regulations? What's with the fines? Like, the fines are like a drop in the bucket. These people are racking in billions of dollars. The things that they would actually be concerned about are, like, more regulations, which would prohibit their ability to garner as much profit as they were able to, and would also have the good consequence or the good externality of protecting the environment from, like, derailments.
Violation to get somebody killed, that is not enough for a multi-billion-dollar company. Well, we're acting on it with the authorities we have, and
that's not an answer.
Calling on members of Congress to act on it with the authorities they have.
Yeah, again, just non-specific, vague, vapid, like literally means nothing. A shell of a human, yeah.
And the
like
railroads not to wait on us to require them to do the right thing on their own.
Okay, cool. That added basically no additional insight outside of the fine. Okay, 1 second, please. You know, I think we're about done for today, actually. I'm gonna head out. And, I might I'll definitely stream next week, but if I stream in between, I guess I'll broadcast that on Twitter that I am. But regardless, I want to thank everyone here for watching, and for those who watch later, that'd be nice. And I'll see you guys next week. So take care.